on over, the complete Azure platform. And this is going to be a quick lightning talk. It's going to be a beginner level of talk, which is said to be on understanding about what Azure AI Studio is. And I'm here, Abdul Rashid Feroz Khan. I'm the founder and CEO of Coach Sizzler. We are based out of India and Middle East. And we are actually Microsoft partners. We do trainings, we do consulting, and we are recently into the product development as well over the data and AI, much into AI, building the automation tools for AIG and coming up with the hackathon tools for Microsoft partners, for GSA partners to host hackathon events as well. So that's a quick introduction about me. And with that, let me go ahead. We will start discussing about, what AI is, right? And how Azure AI is going to help us out and how the AI Studio has brought, a major change on working with this platform as well. I will be taking the next 30 minutes to speak about, the Azure AI, and I'll also be going on with a quick demo for you to understand on how you can work with the AI Studio and the different, the deployment patterns that are said to be available, which comes with ChatGPT, but has been built on top of, running on Azure as such. So let's start here with a quick question, right? Where I see like most of the people keep posting this that can AI do everything for us, or is AI is going to replace the human power as such? Definitely no. AI is not said to be a replacement for human mentality, or AI is not said to be a replacement for sapiens, right? This is all like gonna be an assistant, an AI that works today. You speak about Copilot, or you speak about Gemini, you speak about any kind of AI tools that we have. It all comes under as an AI assistant, and it does not take an action on its automated way. It does not work, saying that goes ahead, takes a decision on its own. So the models have been already trained. The models have been prepared on such a way that it can work as per the condition what it has set across. And that's exactly where we go. We land up with something called as, the Azure or any AI service that we have. The model is trained, the model can work on its own, and we go ahead, we want to work with it, right, by giving up the glimpse of what it has to do as such. So the question is pretty simple, or let me say the answer is straightforward, saying that AI is not a replacement. And yes, of course, there will be a job demand. There will be a huge job demand that comes under AI platform, and there will be a job scarcity that comes under if at all, if we are working with, the same kind of the older platforms that we have. So we should be ready to develop the AI patterns. We should be ready to develop AI solutions, which can make work to be more efficient, which can make you to get tasks to work 2 cross or 3 cross to be faster. And that's exactly where we land up with AI. So AI is never going to be a replacement. And like we people should be upgrading ourselves to work together with AI as such. So with that, let's land up with what is generative AI. This is said to be like a timeline of the evolution over the artificial intelligence. And not everything is exactly in the decades shown. So each major milestone has been highlighted over here with the evolution that builds on the previous ones. So you see, it's not like recently, but we started working with the artificial intelligence, which was said to be by late 1950s. We started working with the computers, right? And the computers were able to make calculations, make computations more than what a human mind can do. And that's said to be the period where we landed up with AI. And we then came up with 90s, speaking about machine learning, right? The late 90s with subset of AI, where we train it and we want to make sense that the decision can go by the machine, right? We train with the data set and the machine can work on its own. So that was said to be with 90s. And later we came up with 2010 with the deep learning. The deep learning is said to be with the neural networks, which can process the data and it can make decisions as well. So that brought a major change where the machines can work on its own. It can make decisions on its own. It goes with the predictive learning. So you no need to go train each and every time. Instead, Microsoft, or let's say, I don't want to speak a domain specific until at least this deck, right? Let's make a generative understanding about what AI is, what Gen AI is all about. So deep learning is that it was to bring more power that it can work on its own. And then we had Gen AI, the generative AI, which was to create, new written, visual, and auditory content. So the Gen AI is like uh, it can work on its own as a chat interface. It can work on its own as an interactive pattern, or it can still go. It can generate images with help of Dali. So that's exactly where we landed up with generative AI. So generative AI are said to be based on the deep learning training techniques. So we showed generative AI as a subset of deep learning there. And now the generative AI, which has been come up with the chat GPT, is introduced with more power that you can run it on Azure OpenAI. So today we are going to speak about this Azure OpenAI, which is said to be, bringing more power, which is said to be bringing more of the patterns, the different deployment models, which you can use at top of the most powerful Azure data centers. The one that you see on the screen is said to be a simple, let me say, a blade, a sparking screen where you come across to develop an Azure OpenAI resource. So you can go. You need to initially apply for getting a permission to use the Azure OpenAI service. So you have to go for this form, aka.ms slash OpenAI apply. So you go there, you need to be the owner of your subscription. You're not supposed to apply on behalf of your company, but you should have the owner rights for the subscription so that you can apply for this and you get it with the access for the OpenAI service. And once that's done, you can go to the Azure portal. You can try creating the Azure OpenAI resource there. So this is going to be restricted that they give few data center regions count, and that depends upon the form that you're going to fill up as such. Followed by that, we go with the Azure OpenAI resource to be created. Either you do it from the portal, or we could still go ahead. We can do it from the CLI environment. So the Azure CLI environment is that it's simple. You give up these commands. So this is from the Bash environment. Uh, if at all, if you're working from Cloud Shell, you can directly run this command. Or if not, if you're working from, let's say, the CLI from your local machine, then you need to say AZ login. You have to log into your Azure account. And at top of that, we go with AZ Cognitive Services, the account to be created, the namespace to be added, the resource group to be created, data center location as well, the kind, and the standard, the stock keeping units, and the subscription to be utilized as well. That's where we land up with this Azure OpenAI resource. We then come up with a studio, right? So once when this is created, once when the OpenAI resource is created, you go ahead, you can try working with the OpenAI studio. So to work with this, you need to go with openai.azure.com. Or once when you create this service, they also give you a tab saying that go to resource, and from there on, you can go to the AI studio. So the Azure OpenAI Studio provides a web-based portal in which you can manage the models and deployments in your Azure OpenAI resource. You can simply go for this website as well, openai.azure.com, which is said to be the resource page on which you can try accessing it. So this helps you to connect to your own data, or they have the trained data as well that would be available, and you can still go ahead. You can test the models with chat or completions. So you see, we have GPT 35 Turbo, or we can even go with the completions. We do have Dali, where we can generate images, and assistants are there, which gives you a co-pilot kind of experience. You can interact with it. I'll speak more in detail about these things. So before getting on to a quick tour over the portal, I want you to understand about the different types of generative AI models. The newer one is said to be GPT-4. Now it's said to be on general availability. So the GPT-4 models are generally the best choice for all languages and the code generation tasks. The GPT-3 family includes the GPT-35 Turbo model, on which the original release of the OpenAI ChatGPT service is based, and it also supports the Chat API, the playground over here. So this includes 4 generations of language models, the version that's from A to D, that's Ada to DaVinci. The older models are less complex than the newer ones. The right choice for a specific task depends on, the balance of the speed at which the model can perform and how sophisticated their computations need to be as such. You then have embeddings. The embedding-based models makes use of embeddings. That's said to be a specialized form of data encoding for the text, and that will optimize the specific tasks for you. So this can evaluate the text for similarities, search text, and searching the code as well. Finally, we have DAL-E. DAL-E is a model for image generation based on the natural language prompts there. Now, let me say, once when we go to the AI Studio, you get a page like this. So this is oai.azure.com, openai.azure.com, where you find chat, you find completions, DALI on which you can go with images. So this is all like the playgrounds where you can try making your hands to be dirty. And the management is where you go with the deployments to be done. The different models, what we have been speaking here, right? Those things can be seen on the models. You can even add your own custom data and train it. That's set to be on the data files. We then have the quotas to make sure about the data center regions and the number of usages that you have been working on. Finally, we have the content filters. The content filters is used to go with ethical considerations to be done when you develop an AI model there. Now, to deploy this Gen AI model, you will go with deployments. You see here deployments. You can select and say deploy. So that's the page that you see on the screen here. Or the other way is that you go with the command over here. So again, from the CLI or with the bash command there. You say AC cognitive services account deployment create with the resource group, the name, the deployment name to be added up, followed by the model name version. All those things has to be given there. So as much as you work on it, you go ahead, you use the prompts to get the completions from the model. Now, the core way when you use any of this, let's say GPT-35 turbos, that you need to understand about the prompts. So this will interact with the model in the Azure OpenAI, that is to, provide a natural language prompt as input, and the models then will respond with a completion. The completion depends on a number of factors, including the text in the prompt, the way the prompt is presented, and the parameters that are set for the interactions. So this shows the examples of common types of tasks that you can accomplish with a generative model in Azure OpenAI service. We do have like chat that is more advanced scenario that is supported by more recent models like GPT-35 Turbo and later, in which you can go set up the statement that's used to define. So this is how it looks like. You see here the system message. You are an AI assistant as such. So you can customize this and can give up a message there. The OpenAI Studio includes multiple playgrounds for specific types of models. Let's say for natural language generation models, you have the completion playground with content generation tasks, and you do have a chat playground that can be used for chat interactions with GPT-35 Turbo and the later models. So playground enables you to enter the prompt and to set the parameters that controls the completions that's returned by the model. When using the chat playground, you can customize the setup description to set the context for the chat session and also set the parameters like max response, right? So the max response is that it sets a limit on the number of tokens per model response. And you have the API supports that's going to be with a maximum of 4,000 tokens that's shared between the prompt and the model's response. So one token is roughly 4 characters for typical, let's say, an English text to be generated. We then have the temperature. The temperature goes with controlling the randomness. Lowering the temperature means that the model produces more repetitive and the deterministic responses there. Increasing the temperature will result in more, unexpected or creative responses there. Top P, Top P is similar to temperature. So this controls the randomness, but uses a different method. So lowering this top P will narrow the model's token selection to a likelier tokens for you. So other ways that you increase the top P, it lets the model to choose from the tokens with both the high and low likelihood there. So you try adjusting, the temperature or the top P, but not the both there. Stop sequence, you go with making the response stop at the desired point, such as the end of sentence or list. So you specify up to like 4 sequence where the model will stop generating 4 tokens in a response for you. Frequency penalty, so that reduces the chance of repeating a token proportionally based on how often it has appeared in the text so far. So this decreases the likelihood of repeating the exact same text in a response. We then have the presence penalty. So you reduce the chance of repeating any token that has appeared in the text at all so far. This increases the likelihood of introducing new topics in a response state. So with those things, let's go with a quick demo to understand about deploying the Azure OpenAI resource and the model. So let me go to the Azure portal. Let me open up here. I'll say go for portal.azure.com. Let's wait for this. Yeah, it's getting signed in. And I will switch to a directory on which I have the subscription enabled. Okay, great. Now let's try going up, with the OpenAI service that's set to be there. I have already created one, but if you want to work from the scratch, you can say create a resource, go for Azure OpenAI here. Right? You see Azure OpenAI. And here we can pick the Azure OpenAI service, say create. And let's try creating a new resource group. I would say it's season of, okay, SOAI for Dear Azure. Okay, let me give this as a resource group name at East US. And let's give the OpenAI name here and the pricing plan to be selected. So this is all like what I have been speaking with you over the deck that you have been seeing. And let's now go ahead. You have the content review policy. So that's like a license terms that you need to understand. You can walk through this and then say that you want to get this created. You have the network where you can go ahead, you can say like which kind of network communication you want to get this to be enabled. You want all networks to communicate, or you have a selective VNet which gets communicated with us, or you go with the security, you say like no networks can be allowed, and you will configure this later with the private endpoints which can communicate with it. Now let's go with the default tag for billing, and finally let's try getting this created now. Let's wait for this. So let me say create. You can find the notification here. So the same, we can go with the Cloud Shell. You see here, we have the Cloud Shell. We can work from there as well. I'll stick on to the questions by, once when I get this demo to be completed. So if at all, if you have like any kind of questions, hold on for me, please. Cool. Okay. The deployment is stayed done. And now I will say go to the resource. And there we go. Remember, I said that you can go to the AI studio to find the steps that we have there, the different kind of, the deployment patterns. We could go ahead there. Now, let me see. Yes. So we go here. The deployment is done. Let me go with the sync up. I was saying that I was discussing about we go with deployments, right? We try going up with different kind of deployment patterns that are said to be available. And here I have selected GPT-35 Turbo for the deployment there. Now I can open this in Playground. So you see open in Playground and it gets landed up here, right? Now this is the interactions where you can try it, the interface which we have been speaking about. Let's scroll up. So you can set up your data. You can go with different kind of templates that are said to be available as well. Let me say I'll go with the default template and you're using a deployment name. Let's still scroll up. You can go with adding even your own data. Let's say you can have your data from your storage, or you can call the data from some website, right? Now, let me say adding a data source on which we can call URL or web address. You can try calling up the blob storage account and the search index patterns to be created. And that can automatically go, it can train the data and it can fetch the data as per the queries that you're going to get passed. So this is one thing, and you go with the prompt, you see the template that it has to use. Now, I said that this can be customized as well. So let me say you are an AI assistant for Dear Azure, right? That helps find information about, you know, Microsoft Azure, say for example. Now, I can simply go ahead. I can even refer to the website, right? If we have Dear Azure site, right, or YouTube channels that we have, we can refer to the videos where it can respond for the same. And by default, it also has it has trained the models, right? So we can have this. And let me now say I need to save this. So let's scroll up and say apply changes. At top of that, I can come down and we can try with this interaction. Let's say hi, and let's see what the response we get it here. See, how can I assist you with the Microsoft Azure today? So that's a natural language kind of interactions that we do, right? Let me say, tell me about Azure service, or let's say, tell me about Microsoft Fabric. And there we go. So it gives a response for the same. Does Microsoft Fabric cost higher to deploy a production application compared to other container environments? So let's try asking this and still it can answer, right? So this goes based on the data which has been already trained. Now, if you have something that's specific to a URL, right, if to your organization or to your Q&A, you can still go refer for the same day. So we then have the deployment, which we have been speaking about, the parameters, right? The tokenization, which I was mentioning, temperature, those things can be again customized for you. You then go to the deploy and you can deploy this as a web app. So it makes development to be much simple for you using the OpenAI Studio here. We then have the DALI. So you can go to the DALI models and here we can try generating the images too. This might take time. I will go with another DALI model, which I have with me. So let's open this, go to the studio. Let's wait for this. Yeah. Now I can go to the Dali and I can try posting something. Let's say, uh, get me an image of a typical Indian restaurant on which a set of uh, let's say uh, foreigners, or let's say US citizens. I'm just giving something which is more of prompt and customized, right? I'm not saying foreigners, I'm still making it like US citizens. So the emoji, the kind of image that it gets generated will resemble for the same set of US citizens uh, celebrating their independence day over the restaurant. So this is said to be my prompt, a much detailed one. And let's say generate. Succeeded. Okay, there we go. You see, this is said to be kind of like Indian restaurant, which resembles like people from India are also there, and the other folks would be there as well. So this gives the classifications like you have the US flags there celebrating the Independence Day too. I can still go ahead, let's say, design a metro station for Mumbai, something like that, right? For Mumbai, with landmarks of Mumbai added. Let's see what it does. So it tries generating some image. It says metro station gateway of India. You see here. It tries giving up like a landmark there. Now I can still say generate an image for a metro station in front of uh, Taj Hotel, Mumbai. Right? Let's say Taj Mahal Palace, or okay, we can make it more clear. So this is all like, it makes it more simple. It tries working with different kind of prompts that you give. Now, this has been trained. The chat GPT has been already trained that it can work for the different kind of models there. Okay, it gets confused. It goes with, oh, it tries to resembling the same, but not, going with a combination of both Taj Mahal Palace and the Taj Mahal as well. Cool, but that's okay. So this is all together like how we can work with, the OpenAI studio that we have here. So getting back to this, I